Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Let's Make a Game. We're going to make a game like Flappy Bird. In this episode, what we're going to do is set up the pipe. As you can see, I've downloaded a probably familiar looking pipe image from the internet. You can get your own as well. And what we're going to do is draw our pipes and have them move from right to left. That's the plan of for this video. So to get started, let's talk a little bit about what we want here. So given our plane, so here's our screen. Oh geez, here's our screen. There we go. We want pipes coming from this side, moving over to the left, and then off the screen on this side. And the pipes, as you saw the image I had. It was a pipe that looked like this. Oops. So we want our pipes to come in like this. Pipe down and a pipe above, where the image looks like this. So this top one is flipped, and the bottom one is just chilling. A couple things to note about this scene here. Oh, and yeah, and our plane stays in the middle here. There you go. A couple things to note. This plane is always in the screen width divided by 2 in terms of X, and it moves along the Y position, so it only moves up and down. These guys are static on the Y positions. Once they're spawned, they're static, but they move along the X position at the same time. So this is basically treated as one object, which is made up of 2 images and 2 rigid bodies. Another thing that will be good to define is this distance. The distance between, let's call that space. We'll come up with a better name when we make it, but this is basically, we want to be able to define the distance between the 2 pipes. And maybe, when you first start, this space is a large number, so that the pipes are more like this, and you have lots of room for error. And maybe as you progress, they get closer and closer until you hit some sort of limit, where if you were to go any closer, it'd be impossible for this guy to go through. So this is something that we'll want to be able to track and possibly change throughout our gameplay. And this whole, again, like I said, these are 2 separate sprites, 2 separate rigid bodies, but they should be treated as one object, like this. So that whole object will have a Y position, and that's this guy here. And we should be able to set this randomly within a given range. So this Y position will determine the center between the 2 pipes based on this space, and we should be able to spawn pipes at a random Y position between, actually these are kind of work out, so let's say this is Y max and this is Y min. So we should be able to spawn, if this is Y min, this guy will spawn here. Actually that's going to be too high because then the pipe will be out, but that's what I mean, right? There should be some sort of range so that we have some movement in the initial Y positions of our pipes, and they stay the same as they go left. And actually, even if we probably wouldn't do that in this game, but if we really wanted to, we could actually move the Y positions maybe along a sine wave as they progress through from right to left, and that would kind of add another layer of difficulty to the game. We probably won't do that, but that's just one of the things you could do. So we'll build it so that these are very dynamic and very easy to change on the fly. And then in that way we can set ourselves up in case we do want to create anything cool like that. Okay, so let's go here. Yeah, this was a fun time last time. I'm gonna just close a bunch of these. We'll start fresh. So let's open up Flappy Twitch, and we have our flapper, we have our input manager. So we want to create a new class. And this will be pipe, and then pipe.h. go. Okay, so we have a pipe. Our pipe is going to want to know about engine graphics sprite and engine math. Was it math or physics maybe? Yeah, rigid body. So we want the sprite, we want the rigid body. So the way I see this pipe, so one of the things that I wanted to call out here is, like I said, this is all treated as one object, and that means that when you spawn an object, this object, the pipe object, you'll have to set up a new sprite, right? That's one, that's two, and then two new rigid bodies. And then every time you create a new pipe object, you have to again create two new sprites over and over again. So there's a couple of ways we can make the performance better. In this case, we do two things. So obviously, as we spawn these objects and we create them, as they move to the right or to the left, once they hit a certain threshold, we would delete them, right? And that way we free up the memory, and we're not constantly just creating new objects and never getting rid of them. That's a surefire way to end up with no memory. Sure, it might be a slow process, but still we should probably clean it up. So we'll clean it up here when the X position of the pipe crosses a certain threshold. Another optimization we can do here is the pipe itself. So we have our sprite class. Instead of creating a new instance of a sprite every time, two new instances of sprite every time we spawn a pipe, what we could do is keep one instance of the pipe sprite, right? Not the rigid body, just a sprite, and we could keep a pointer to this, and then all we would track in our class, in our pipe class, would be the positioning and scaling and all that of the pipe itself, and where we need to draw them. And then every time we actually do a draw call, we just say, well, go ahead and draw this one texture, and that way we're not loading a bunch of new GL textures every time we spawn a pipe. So we can always just reference to this guy and then draw that. So let's do that. So the way I think makes the most sense to do that is to create a static sprite pointer called pipe image or pipe sprite, and then we'll set this up before we do anything with pipes. We need to make sure that this is actually exists before we try to do anything with pipes. But other than that, like it'll just be probably calling some sort of initialize method to set it, and then we can go from there. So that being done, pipe. We should be able to spawn a pipe with a position, so that's vector 3. I guess I need, oops. Math, vector 3. Okay, so every pipe will need, just like always, we'll need a update method, we'll need a render method, and to initialize this pipe sprite, I want to create a static method for it. So static initialize, and obviously static means that these two things live outside of any particular instance of the class. These actually are static, so I can refer to this guy and call this guy without having any pipes actually instantiated yet. And that's how we'll make sure we set up our pipe sprites before we do anything with an actual pipe. I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing we'll need is like our rigid bodies and our sprites. So we have this sprite pointer. We still need to keep track of our top sprite and our bottom sprite. I guess we'll have a rigid body, top rigid body, and we'll have our bot rigid body. And then, like I said, this this here, we'll want to, I don't want to call it I'll call it gap. I guess that makes sense. So we'll keep track of this gap, and a gap could be different for each pipe, or it could be the same. We could just define it here, and if we wanted to change it down the road, we could make this accessible, make a setter for it, a getter for it, and then we can change them on the fly. We'll need a gap, we'll need a speed at which it moves to the left, and I think that's pretty much it for now. We have two rigid bodies, we have the sprite. I think, well, let's see how we do this. Let's go over to our pipe CPP, pipe, and then so what I like to do here is start with the statics, right? So in this case, our static initialize method will have to, yeah, let's call that first. So first we have to actually define our sprite. So sprite winner, pipe sprite, set it to null. What's wrong? Oh, this is not sprite, this is pipe. Pipe sprite, there we go. And then our void initialize method. So what we want to do here is set the sprite for the pipe and set that static variable, and then we'll want to do any sort of like scaling or repositioning or anything like that of the sprite itself. We'll want to be able to do that here, so that we only have to do it once, and then every time we go to draw it, we can take that with us. So that way every pipe looks the same. So we'll want to say our pipe sprite is equal to a new sprite because it's a pointer, and we'll want to pass in a string for the image path. So assets art. I think it's just assets art, yeah, and then if I refresh this guy, there we go. Pipe.ping. Okay, so there's a new sprite. And then here I can say pipe sprite scale when we want to scale it. So first I want to like load the image, and then we'll see if it's too big or too small. But here's basically what we'll do, all this kind of stuff. We'll scale it, we'll move it around, all that kind of stuff. For now, we'll just set it, and now we can move on with our actual pipe class. So we'll want to make sure again that we never try to instantiate a pipe before we call initialize, so we can actually check for that. So if pipe sprite trying to instantiate a pipe without having called the initialize method. And then we'll want to return here and do nothing. So otherwise, we can start setting everything here. So I think in order for positioning each sprite, I do need to keep track of the sprites, top sprite and bot sprite, but they're going to be, we're going to instantiate them like this. Top sprite, it's a new sprite, but we'll dereference our pipe sprite, and that way we're just setting this guy equal to whatever is in here, right? And we can do the same for our bot sprite. Bot sprite, and then we can set our gap. So let's say gap is, I don't know, 100. Speed, set it to 10, and I think that's it. That's all we got, right? Yeah, gap and speed on rigid bodies, but we don't actually, well, we can't really set them up because we don't have any positioning information, right? So maybe we'll just do that here. Vector boss, and here we should call our pipe, so this will happen. And again, if we should check for this, yeah, this will check for it, give us the error message, and then it will return from here, but it won't stop me from doing anything in here. So maybe I should put that in here too. Oops. I don't need this again, but I can just return. So that way I don't get the message twice for every pipe. Okay, so now that we're in here, we have to calculate where we want our positions to be, right, for our actual sprites. So let's see, we have our position, and again, our position we want it is going to be this position. Oops, this position. And then we'll want to use the gap divided by 2 to move it up and down and kind of go from there. So the first thing I want to do, I guess, is have a top pause is pause, and then top pause dot y. I'm going up, so plus equals gap divided by 2, and then I can say top sprite dot pause set pause or move to. There we go. I want to move it to top pause, and then I want to set up the rigid body for the top pipe, right? So I'll need top, let's call it top rigid body is a rigid body, and then initialize, and we give it friction, gravity, position, rotation, scale, size, and a bounding arc. Oh, that's right, we need bounding rect. We can create the rect here and pass it in. I'll need to pull that in. We don't actually need to keep track of the rect, so I can include that here. Engine math rect. So okay, before we initialize, we should create the rect. Top rect, that's top RC. Rect. So let's see. So we want to say top rect, set size, and then we want to do a vector 3. So I want to set the size of the rect, so that will have to be based on the image, and then we have to remember to account for the scale in case we do decide to scale the image up here at some point. So let's say, and actually we have top sprite, so we can just use top sprite. So let's say top sprite dot size dot get size dot x times top sprite dot get scale dot x, right, and that's x, and then top sprite dot get size dot y, top sprite dot get scale dot y, and then just like a 1 for the end. Does that make sense? What isn't like this? Expression must have class type. Top sprite is a thing. Sprite pipe. This is a sprite in terms of vector 3. Oh, right. Right. This returns a pointer, right? So I need to do that. Yeah. And this returns a pointer because we wanted our rigid body to be able to access it directly and modify it directly, right? Okay, so that looks correct, right? X times the size of x times the scale of x, size of y times the scale of y, and 1. That's fine. So we have to move this top pipe, again, has to be moved off of the actual position. So if the pipe center, when we draw any sprite, our center is right here, right? This is our center. So if I say that's 0, 0, 0, that'll be here, or here, sorry, and then it'll go like this, right? So I want to move the pipe up by the height divided by 2 to get the position we actually wanted at, and move the sprite up so that it's drawn there at the top, and then it goes up from there, right? So we want to do top RC set. We're not setting. Oh, sorry. Move. Yeah, move by. So we can do a move by because we already set a move to here. This is direct itself. So let's move it. Yeah, and we'll just move it up, right? So vector 3, 0, top pipe, or top sprite dot get size dot y, or dash arrow y times top sprite get scale dash arrow y, and then 0. So we set the size, we move it, and then now we should be able to create the rigid body and initialize it, right? And we're gonna initialize it with, we don't want any friction, we don't want any gravity affecting this guy. The position itself, we'll give it top sprite pause, get pause. The rotation, I don't think we want to give it any rotation, right? So, oh, but I still, no, that's right, I have to still give it. So top sprite get rot, and then top sprite get scale, top sprite get size, and then top RC. Okay, looks good. Now we'll want to do the same for the bottom one, except, oh wait, let me check. Yeah, our pipe faces up. Oh, actually, we actually want to flip the top one. Yeah, we actually want to flip the top one. So we'll want to do, we can do that to our pipe, right? So we move it, and then we say top sprite dot set scale 3, or actually, can we say scale by? No, we never wrote a scale by. Okay, that's fine. Set scale top sprite dot get scale. Get scale returns a pointer, so let's dereference that, and then we'll say times vector 3 0 negative 1 0. So we're going to set the scale to the current scale, and again, the get scale returns a vector 3 pointer. So we dereference that. So we get the actual scale itself, multiply that by 0 negative 1 0, so that we would flip the scale on the y-axis. That should actually flip the image for us. And then that's setting the scale, so that scale will be affected everywhere here. Wonder if that's a weird thing, because we're setting the size. The size, it'll have a negative size for y if we multiply by negative 1 here. Right, because I'll say the size times negative whatever the scale is. So we should do, yeah, we shouldn't, I don't think we ever handle or expect negative sizes. So we should wrap this. We have an absolute method, don't we? Engine math. Say set size. So we should have math. We don't have an absolute. All right, let's write an absolute. Engine math. Float adds. Oops. I'm just passing one thing. And then if x is greater than 0, then return x, otherwise return negative x. Should wrap this. It's not crazy. So if it's greater than x, just return it, otherwise return negative x. There we go. Negative, greater than 0 rather. So that should be good. So now we should be able to do math abs, and then do this, and then math abs, and do this. Okay, so that's the top one. So we should be able to do bot now without having to do too much. So all I'm going to do here is find in my selection top and replace it with bot. Should work, and then we just don't do this. We'll keep the absoluteness, that's fine. And then instead of plus equals, we'll do a minus equals to bring it down. So in this case, oh, and then did we forget to divide this by 2? We're moving it by the y. We have to divide this by 2. Divided by 2. Same here. Alright, cool. So then we're moving it, and then, yeah, we're moving this down instead, and that remains the same. Bot sprite y. Okay, I think that's good. And then we initialize the rigid body, so I think we're actually done with this. Okay, let's move on. So we have our update and our render. So just not pass in delta time. We'll want to pass in delta time, right? Because our flapper. Oh no, right, we get that from the engine when we do update. Right, and then the flapper never actually cares for it because it's only moving up and down. That's fine. We can get that from the engine. That's a static thing. Here. So yeah, we don't pass it in. For pipe. Cool. So all we want to do is say top sprite pause, get pause, or I guess no, we just want to do again move by, and then vector 3, and then we'll say we're moving to the left, so and we have a positive speed. We have positive speed, so we have to say negative speed times engine get delta time. I'll have to include engine. So engine get delta time. It's negative speed times engine get delta time, and then 0, 0, because we don't want to move it along. Yep, that's fine. And then close and close that. So that's top. We'll do the same for bot. Move it by the same amount. And then we'll want to update our rigid bodies. So top rigid body, update, and bot rigid body. Update. Cool. And then pipe render, top sprite render. Bot sprite.render, and then top rigid body dot render, and bot rigid body dot render. Cool. Let's see if this works. I don't know what to expect. I think it's right, but we'll give it a shot. So what we're gonna do is in the how do we want to do this? So let's go to Twitch, create floppy Twitch pipe, Yeah, that's fine. And then we'll have a, so first thing we want to do is call, let's do it here, pipe initialize, and then that'll do its thing. And then we can, I should be able to just create, so I think what I'm going to do is create a pipe and then move it around with my mouse. And that way we can kind of see it. So pipe, let's give it a position. Well, actually we don't, well yeah, let's give it a position so everything gets set, right? 0, 0, 0. Vector 3. Actually we should be able to just do this. And then let's pass in a reference to a pipe, just for now, as well, into input manager. Take in include pipe. Go, and then I'll do this guy, so flapper will be pipe, get sprite. Oops. Right, so we have to, that's interesting. So we have our pipe and we have stuff, but we don't have an actual X and Y position for it, right? Like we've just give it, yeah, we don't really give it much, we don't really do this properly enough to, okay, so here's what I'm going to do instead. So, sorry, let me finish that thought. So we don't really, so what we're doing here is we're passing in a position that we don't keep track of, and then we set up our top and our bottom scales and rigid bodies based on that position, and that's it. And then all we do is move each sprite independently. Whereas the other option would be to have an X and a Y position for the entire pipe object, and updating that would update these things on the fly. But actually, since we're setting up our rigid bodies, like our rigid bodies have pointers to our sprite positions and all that. So really all we have to do is move our top sprite and our bot sprite once all of this is set up. So I think I like that second version better. So we should have a position here, pause, and then this will actually be underscore pause, and we'll actually set our position to that. So pause is underscore pause, and then when I update it, well, so we should really give it here a move to and a move by and all that kind of stuff, right? So move to move by. Yeah, sure. Let's just set this up for now. Move to move by, and we should be able here to just do something like, what's going on here? Oh, give it a color, right? Let's say red. Then we can say here top sprite move to, no, we can't do that. So we have to do the same thing we did here, right? We have to do the same logic. Say move to and then move to. So we have to create a local version of the position. In this case, we're saying move to, so we're saying top pos should be well, if I just say pos equals 2, then we can just do this again, right? So we should have a update position, update pos. And that should do this. And then we should do update pos. And then pos equals pos plus by, and then update pos. And then this will go ahead and do this, move it by this, and then it'll move the sprite to this new position. Yep, I think this works. I think this makes sense. So now we should be able to, now that we passed that in, we should be able to say pipe move to. Yeah, I think that works. Let's go back to Twitch. We have our pipe. Doing, oh yeah, we have our second player too. That's fine. We'll leave that in for now. And then we have our, yeah, we can actually do pipe dot render update, and then pipe render. Okay, let's try that. So there should be one created, and then I should be able to just move my mouse around, and we should see everything move in sync. Oh my god, they're massive. Is this massive? And something weird is going on with that bottom rigid body. It's hard to say until we scale that down. So let's scale that down a lot. And obviously, if you don't have the same image as me, this might be different for you, but either way, it should be very similar. So instead of, so see how we're scaling these sprites directly here. For pipes, obviously we're doing something different because we have the initialize method. So we should scale, because again, we're drawing the same sprite in multiple locations. Because we do, oh, this guy right here. Because we do this, we set this to be a dereference version of sprite. So that should do it that way. So we'll go pipe sprite, set scale. Actually, let's just give it a global scale, like 0.2. Let's try that. There we go. I only see one guy being drawn. Second rigid bodies again is really weird. The offset kind of positioning on that is weird too. Okay, let's go over what we did. So we have top sprite, bot sprite. We're drawing both top and bot, top and bot, top and bot, top and bot. Okay. First of all, I want to scale it down a bit more. Maybe let's make gap bigger and see what that does. 20. It should separate where we think the second one is. Let's make it something big so we can see a difference, if any. Oh, we do see a difference. Okay. Oh, so the bot sprite is good. The top sprite is weird. Okay, let's bring this back. Let's say 300. Is 300 still not enough? Wow. Okay, 700. Okay, so bot sprite. So it looks like the rigid bodies are the correct distance away. Well, I don't know. It might be the other way around. I think we need to. First of all, the top sprite isn't drawing. That's weird. Let's figure that out. So this should create. This creates a copy of it, right? Top sprite and bot sprite should both exist. This is all top sprite, and this is all bot sprite, bot pos, bot RC, bot RC, bot C, bot RB, bot RB. moving the top one up and the bottom one down. Maybe it's because of the scaling thing. If I remove that, will it be drawn this time? So the scaling is weird. Also, our rigid bodies our rects themselves are being drawn in funny positions. But okay, I guess I can't flip the Y on that. So what's going on here? Let's go to sprite. Set scale. Oh, we could just rotate it actually. We could just rotate it by 180 degrees. We're scaling here. So the scale is always initialized to 1. We scale it when we create it, and then we should be able to. Maybe we'll have like a flip. We could do a flip here and see. Or again, we could just rotate it 180 degrees. So if I do negative scale here, I should draw them both facing down. So yeah, it definitely works. I think maybe I just did something weird. Oh, no, we still override that and make the scale 1. Let's see what did I do. There's a set scale to the current scale times 0, negative 1, 0. So it'll give you a negative scale on the Y side, and that should do it actually. Here, let's do this. Let's add a flip. Flip horizontal and flip vertical. Flip horizontal. Flip vertical. So if we say flip horizontal, that means we say scale.x equals negative scale.x, and flip vertical means scale.y equals negative scale.y. So if we come back here and we just say top sprite flip vertical, see if that'll do it. Look at that, it works. Yeah, it must have been something weird with the way I was doing it before. That's odd though. Set scale, we say top sprite's current scale, which is this, and we multiply. Oh, fuck. Yeah. These have to be ones, right? We're multiplying by that amount. So the x scale was 0, which is why the top rigid body was broken. So yeah, there we go. So now we figured out what was wrong, but I think I still like having those flip vertical. So that looks nice and clean, so that's good. Okay, so we've got our top and bot. So what's going on here? We have our rects. Do we actually have to move them at all? Since we set their sizes. We set their sizes and we set the rigid body with that rect. We really shouldn't have to move the rect at all, unless we wanted it to have a different collision rect than the sprite rect, right? So if we run this, it should actually show the rects where the sprites are. Yeah. Oh, that looks so clean. Okay, that's awesome. And that gap is definitely huge. So let's bring that down. So yeah, this doesn't make any sense for us. And let's make the gap like 100. So that's weird because that gap, the way we did the calculation, the gap should actually be that's how many pixels should be between them, so that we shouldn't have to compensate for the height of the pipe itself. based on the math we did. So let's see. Oh, I'll do this too. Let's draw the bottom rect a different color. Okay, good. So bottom is blue and top is red. So yeah, well, I guess we're not moving them far enough. So what's going on here? So we're saying top pause. Oh, yeah, okay. So these, yeah, we still need to do this, but we need to do this on the sprite directly. We need to do it here, right? So we need to say, because again, the sprite is right in the middle, right? This is a thing, right? So we need to move it by this much plus the gap divided by 2. That's what's wrong. So gap divided by 2, sure, and then we'll say plus top sprite, and then here's where we'll do the here's where we'll want to also, yeah, just in case. So we'll do math abs, and then size y times top sprite get scale dot y. Oops, share y. So do that and then divide it by 2. Right, and then we'll want to do the same for bot, but this will be a minus equals. That minus bot sprite. So now the gap should actually be, I didn't do anything? Let's see. We did that to the position and then we moved the sprite there. Oh, right, and then this we need to, yeah, so I don't like the fact that we're doing this in 2 different locations again. So really we should do a here, this guy should be here, this guy, we shouldn't be duplicating this code, right? So this guy should be here, and then we don't constantly flip vertical, we just have to do it once. We'll remove these, and then we'll say update pause. It looks like we moved them both up because the Y one looks correct. The top one looks correct. The bottom one looks like it's too high. Actually, the top, yeah. What did we do wrong here? Oh, yeah, here we go. I was gonna say the bottom one looked like it didn't actually move at all. It looks like it's right in center. That's a copy and paste mistake. Now our gap, oh no, still, oh, now we're moving it in the, what? We're moving it in the wrong direction somehow. We're doing a minus equals here. Bot pause equals pause. Bot pause dot y minus equals gap divided by 2. And then minus, oh, no, we're doing absolute value, that's right. So we're doing minus the size, the y size times the scale size divided by 2. And everything here says bot, everything here says top. That's odd. And flip vertical should only modify the scale, so it's not like it changes. So let's see. If we say, if we don't do this, and we don't do this, then they should both be right in the middle. So that confirms that they're both, that the center of them is right in the middle. Move the Y up. And there's the Y moved up. Move the bot down. Negatives. It moves up. Why? That doesn't make any sense. So if we say plus, this is really weird. I hope it's not something silly. Top pause is top pause, and then top sprite move to top pause. Bot pause is pause, and bot sprite move to bot pause. And then here we're saying top and bot, top and bot, top and bot. Scale, size, gap divided by 2. There's nothing that I can see that would cause this weirdness. It's not this, is it? Like, shouldn't do anything. We're rendering the sprites, then we render the rigid bodies. The issue is directly with bot, and it's moving up both times. Okay, let's do this. We're gonna make we're gonna do something really weird here, but it's gonna help us. So I'm going to say this, and then let's just add, or actually even simpler than that, pause.y plus equals offset, and then it doesn't really, it's not really offset by, it'll just say offset equals x. And then in the input manager, let's just do something, right? So let's say if keyboard key. Oh, also yeah, this is supposed to be key down, not just key. So key down, GLFW, key up, then pipe set or offset by. We'll say 10. -10. And this actually will be offset plus equals. So with the up and down, with the up and down arrow keys, I should be able to offset the pipe Y down. So if I press up, down. So it's not a weird up and down thing. It's something really silly that I'm doing. because as you can see, I can offset it downward by some amount, and that looks correct. So there's something weird in my calculation here. So again, Bob pauses y minus equals the gap divided by 2. Oh, is this one of, so gap divided by 2 minus, oh man, this should be a plus. A simple arithmetic. So this this needs to be a positive number which we subtract by. So what's happening is our gap was a negative number, a small negative number, and this was a large positive number which we were subtracting from. So this would in turn go into the positives, right? We're subtracting a large positive number from this guy, which was a small positive number, which gives us a negative number, which we minus, which has a net of a positive. Okay, there we go. I don't need this anymore. Don't need this anymore. Or that. Or any of this. There we go. Wonderful. Okay. So, let's make our gap bigger. Let me bring this back in. Let's make our gap. Let's make it 500. So this time I'm going to try to. So 500 is really big. So you can imagine these coming left by themselves, and there we go. So one thing is, like, if the gap is smaller and smaller, eventually we run out of pipe. So we should probably make the scale that on the X, and then leave the Y, and leave the rest and just scale it on the X. It might look a little warped though. Oh wow. Yeah, that looks so bad. And yes, warped like a warp pipe. Hilarious. Let's try that. I mean, I don't really care too much about the art, because I'm not. It might look better with your art too, so I'm not gonna worry too much about this. If we really wanted to, we make our own art or whatever. But yeah, see, so that gap. So first of all, our plane is really big. We should make that a little smaller. And I think we're already bringing it down a lot, aren't we? Yeah. Let's get rid of our second sprite. And we actually want to test collision against our pipe now, right? So player's rigid body and the pipe's rigid body, we need to do a rigid body. Get rigid body. And actually it'll be, we'll have a get top and we'll have a get bot, right? Get top rigid body. If that's colliding, oops, or you're colliding with the bot rigid body, and then the pipe will have to return those guys. Get top rigid body. Get bot rigid body. There we go. Now here we should be able to check. So now, if we bring our guy up, so you can see we're colliding with the top one, colliding, not colliding, there, collided a bit. That's awesome. And then we collide with the bottom one too. Alright, and then just imagine this now. Ooh, oh no, then you die right there. Otherwise you're really good, and then you never hit it like that. Awesome. Yeah, let's make this like 1. Might be a little small. Well, I mean, again, well, if it's gonna be that small, then we'll definitely adjust our gap size. But that might just be a little small. 1.5. It is a really big sprite, so small differences actually. I actually like that. That looks pretty good. Now, obviously, the rigid body on our sprite is too big, right? Like, there's too much white space. So that's where we go and say, in our flapper, when we set up our flapper, here, our bounding rect size should be smaller, right? Our bounding rect size should be the size times the scale, and then times size offset, right? And then vector 3 size offset, and then it'll be like 0.8, 0.81 maybe. So this should shrink the rigid body around the plane a bit. That's pretty good on the X, even on the Y maybe, but maybe we'll give the player a little bit more leeway. So let's make this like 6. Yeah, I like that better. And as you can see, it's gonna be tough to show, but we should be able to. Like, this really should be just when the rigid body cross. Yeah, like that right there. That was a good example. So it definitely crossed the sprite, but it didn't cross the rigid body, so it didn't trigger a collision. I think that's pretty good. Okay, awesome. I think with that small sprite though, we'll have to bring down the pipe. The gap, I'm gonna get like 200 now. That might be too small, but oh, that might be like hard mode. Oh yeah, no, we can't even do that with our jump. So maybe our jump needs to go down a bit, right? Because if our jump our gap needs to be enough for our jump to work through. Let's try 350. Yeah, that's pretty good. I should be able to jump within the two and not hit anything. So that's pretty good for like easy mode, right? When you start, and it might be up here, and as you can see, because we made that long, you can actually. So here's where like our top max and our min max will be, that kind of thing. And then we'll spawn random ones of random height, right? And then they'll come across, and you'll have to be like, if you do that, you die. Alright, awesome guys. That's where I'm going to leave it for today. Next time I think we'll have to start looking into actually setting up a game manager or maybe a world manager that will actually spawn these pipes. I'll create a vector of them and keep adding to them, and then I'll clean them up after. And then once we have that, we'll have to look into. Yeah, so I think that makes the most sense. We'll do a world manager where we can create the pipes and have that going through, and then we'll have a game manager which will toggle which state of the game we're in. So we could be main menu, like before we start playing, then we'll start playing, and then you might be in the dead state or things like that, like in the game over state before you can reset, and then at that point I think we'll have a pretty finished game in terms of what we're trying to accomplish here. So so we're almost there. We've got again that collision. I love seeing that collision work the way it does. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions or if anything doesn't work for you guys, and I'll leave it at that. So I'll see you guys next time.